So hello to everyone. I'm Mailiis.
I'm Markus.
I'm from Elisa, as you already heard, and we're going to share our story about how quite a big corporation and quite new and fierce startup can actually work together really well. Hopefully you get some insights, and we're going to share a story about our past 2 years, I think. Yeah? 2
Yeah,
years.
the past 2 years.
All right.
I'm from Mindtitan. I'm the startup side of this conversation, and it's been a long journey for us in the sense that we started out with Elisa as our first customer. So getting a corporate as your first customer while being a startup, it's an interesting experience. So let's get a look at it. So our collaboration has lasted now for 2 years. We started in the second half of 2017 with mostly preparation. And when I say preparation, what I mean is that most companies that deal with machine learning, when they haven't done it before, they are absolutely unprepared, both technologically and organizationally. So what we had to do is first strategize. What are the things we even want to do? What should we do with machine learning? And God, we made so many mistakes. We tried things that other people have done. This will never work out well. We need to build technological infrastructure to hold the data, to store the data, to collect the data, educate people on what machine learning is, educate us on how Elisa actually works. We build a lot of proof of concepts, tested ideas that might help Elisa implement AI in their company. And most of these proof of concepts were actually real successes, and these paved the way for 2018, when we implemented a chatbot. It's a conversational interface to everything that we do at Elisa. Whenever there needs to be some communication with the customer, say we find out a customer has an issue, it will go through this chatbot, who is tied to every system and who can intelligently understand what you're talking about and what problems the customer is really having. Then we went on to something we call happiness index because it's a nice name, but mostly it's quality of experience measurement system. We try to understand when, where, and who is having issues with the connections, who is not happy with the service they're getting. We implemented facial biometrics to ease giving out national IDs. And we also went further with the contact prevention thing, contact classification. We try to understand which people are going to have issues in the future so that we could prevent it, we could look ahead.
So I think last year actually proved to us that we can have different tracks, we can have different teams, all from Mindtitan and from our side as well, doing different things at the same time using different AI technologies. Now for this year, we already have a couple of really cool new projects in the pipeline. Some of them are actually shown on the screen here. We have talked about it a little bit. Some of them are still a secret, not going to share even today. But you'll hear from them as soon as we get them out. The things that are going to come out next is actually voice as a technology for us. Voice in AI, this is really something we want to work with. We want to make an IVR, which absolutely every customer hates. We want to make our bot, Annika, to actually listen to people and route the customer calls. Also, what we want to do is we want to build an NBO model that is actually based on machine learning rather than just smart algorithms. This is something that is a big question mark for us. We don't know if it's going to work or not because human-made algorithms work really well already. And that's fine. Maybe this is the way it's going to end up, but we're at least going to try. Two really cool things are also in the pipeline already to detect from the customer calls already the reasons customers are calling, so transcribing all the calls and detecting the reason for them to call from this transcription, which would be a tremendous help for product management to come to market quicker, to really understand why the customers are calling us, what they need, what they want, and also from there it will be Markus's job to actually build us a near live NPS prediction model, which is something that no one has been able to do so far, but we will. I'm sure we will, definitely. So the next thing we're going to show you is actually to share how we make it work, because I think the first thing we had to put together was what are the different key roles you have to have if you want to have successful AI products, AI Well, even projects, or if you're just testing or piloting anything. As Markus said initially, we did basically everything wrong there could be done wrong because no one had done it before and we were just discovering the path. Now, looking back to it year and a half later, I think we have the perfect setup, the perfect roles for, I think, absolutely every single project that we're gonna take upon us. The first thing you need, if you're doing an AI project, with a startup or on your own, you need someone from the business side to be the problem owner. If you think of AI as something that is gonna solve a process or a problem or help you solving a problem, then you need someone from the business side who actually knows what the problem is, knows the process, knows the different steps among this process, and actually owns this. They will also be the ones who make sense of the data from the business perspective. They will be the ones, if necessary, labeling the data for data scientists later on, and they will be the one who will assess the delivered results, because only they know what it has to do and does it make sense what the model delivers. So this all has to start with an actual business problem, and this needs to be from the business side. You can't just order a startup, so come and make me an AI or do something for me. You can't order something from your IT department. This has to stay and be on the business side. So it all starts from a business owner.
Now, of course, you're also going to need the technical side, and this is what I specialize in. And I understand that the position names in data science can be very confusing when you start out, but don't be sad about this. It's going to be confusing till the very end. It's even confusing to the people who actually are at those positions. So, very broadly speaking, we can divide those into two larger segments. We can say that there's a data engineer, data architect, who is more of a technical person. This is the person you have to hire first, and this is the person you have to have in-house. You can't just buy the service. This is a person who has to know, who doesn't have to understand machine learning algorithms and doesn't really have to use machine learning algorithms. What they have to know, what they have to understand, is how to store, move, and process large amounts of data. And they have to make it as simple for the data scientists as they possibly can. Now, this is a complicated task because it requires you to be a very good software engineer, have very good abstract thinking, critical thinking, and but it also requires you to know a lot of specialized technologies. Big data engineering is a completely different field. There are so many specialized technologies built just for that. And because it's such a weird role and specialized role, I must admit that in Estonia, for example, it's almost impossible to hire someone who's already a good data engineer. Like, I think that if you are a company who needs a data engineer, the best option you have is maybe you probably hire the first architect who sets up the solution or tells you what you need. And then you get a really good software engineer who's really motivated, and you either train them or you let them train themselves. Data science and data engineering, they're such buzzwords. People are super motivated to get themselves educated in those areas. And now, when we move to the other end of the spectrum, that's the data scientist. That's a completely different kind of guy, or a girl. That's the person you think of when someone says they need to get a data person or something like this. It's the person who builds models, cleans data, communicates the information, evaluates the models, and tries to explain to everyone what this machine learning thing actually does. The mistake people make often while is that they want to get started with data science and then they hire themselves a data scientist. That is, I'm really sorry about those data scientists every time I see something like this happen. It's simply, you get someone on the job who's supposed to build models, and then they realize that they have no infrastructure, they have no idea where data is, and they don't know how to move it around, and then they don't know anything about the hardware. They don't even know the requirements that they actually need. They're accustomed to working with the tools, and they're not given those tools. So usually it goes like this, that the data scientist gets hired, they get very confused, people are not happy with the results, and the whole data science project is scrapped. At the same time, these are the people that you can, at least initially, hire from outside. Now, I'm of course talking about this because it's my business to sell this service, but when I say that data engineers you have to have inside the company, they have to understand what you really do, what your business is made of. Data science, at least initially, you can get by with getting help from outside.
Well, at first, it seemed to us that if you have those three roles, then you have a perfect setup. Like, you have everyone you need, someone from the business side, someone who knows where the data comes from, and then you have a data scientist who actually puts it together and builds you a model. Now, the thing that I wish someone told me like 2 years ago, or at least a year and a half ago, is that there is one crucial bit missing. And this is something or someone that today we're calling product manager. It could have different names, but the idea remains the same. You need a translator. You need someone between the business side and, well, data scientists. A year and a half ago, this was me. I was trying to fill that role. And what happened is that, well, generally, I'm really good at my job. I'm amazing, I'm brilliant, and one part of it is actually realizing that there are things that I don't know how to do. There are things that is out of my depth, and this was one of those things. Because at one point I realized that I was the one dragging the whole team down. I was the dead weight, because they had to explain to me in really simple terms what they are doing or what they need from each other. And I felt that I need a translator. It's not that they can't do it, they can do it, but it's just I would be the one slowing them down. So the smartest thing that I did was like half a year ago to actually hire a person who would be that translator for me, to understand the business side. So I actually feel quite strongly that this person must have a really strong sense of the business, maybe even come from the business side, be the one who actually is interested about machine learning, maybe speaks their language, but is not a data scientist by himself or herself, and can be the one translating it, actually bringing the team together and enabling everyone to do their job, and keeping in track that everyone is doing what they're supposed to do. So we wouldn't have data scientists doing data engineering person's job and data engineer doing the business side's job, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So you need 4 key roles. And the last one is actually something that I would even start from, if I did it all again, if I could, like a year and a half ago. But that doesn't mean that everything we have been doing so far has gone smoothly, and that doesn't mean that there won't be any bumps on the road from now on, because we have learned that if you're in cooperation between a really huge company and then someone who's just starting, that there will always be something the other party is not happy with. And not happy with is a strong term. It's just that you have to know that this is so, and you shouldn't take it personally. The first thing a corporation should know when doing something with a younger company, smaller company, more agile company, is that some of the pieces are always missing. They don't have it all together yet. And this is something you shouldn't take personally, and you shouldn't feel agitated because of it, because they just don't. They are just figuring it out, and you have to be prepared for it. And you have to sometimes slow yourself down, but this is just the way it is. And you have to take it into consideration. This is something that frustrates at first most everyone, I think.
Well, when Mailiis asked me about a few things that might irritate me about working with a large company, then the first thing that comes to mind is that everything takes so much time. When you have a small company, when you have a startup, then something you have to get used to very, very quickly is that things move fast. Critical decisions have to be made in the span of half an hour sometimes. It's more like starting this business drags you out of your comfort zone, and suddenly everything moves with a rampant speed. And now you work with this corporation, and everything takes time. Signing a contract. Signing a contract when everyone has agreed on everything, all you need is ink on paper. It can take weeks. I have a very fresh experience where after signing contracts, after everything was done, I waited for a month to get access to the data. And it's not because people weren't interested. It's not because someone was lazy. It's just because in a big corporation, there are so many people involved so many people who have to get you so many different accesses, and suddenly there's someone who doesn't know this email, and he's asking, like, why are we giving these people access? And I totally understand. Security is important. You have to take time with this. But sometimes it just gets so on my nerves. And all you can do, actually, is be very patient and take this into consideration. Big corporations just work kind of slow.
Well, from the big corporation side, again, this is something that you should take into consideration as well from day one. If you go to a startup, and I'm not even talking about data science, but especially when you go to someone who will provide you a service with data science, then you have to realize that you're not purchasing a product, and you're not going to IT service company. This will not be a purchase or not even a traditional client, customer, and service provider relationship. This is a co-creation, which means that you have to recreate your processes as well. You have to adapt as well. You have to do things differently because their product and service is usually, it's not done yet, it's not ready yet. They can make it the way you need to make it, but this will mean that you have to be the one who actually gives the insight to them. And you have to realize that this is not that I'm going to write down what I want. So like I want a chatbot that will, I don't know, give me accuracy of 80%, and then it will answer at least 60,000 chats a month, let's say. And then I just wait. And I just wait for a year for them to deliver. It will never happen because this is not how it works. And it's the same actually with other startups as well. This is a co-creation, and this is actually a verb, not just a noun. It's a verb, a co-creation.
Now, the other thing you have to keep in mind is say you're in the door. You've made the first impression. You've got the first contract. You're working with them. Everything is going very smoothly. People like you. You've shown them that you're a nice person, decent to work with. And then suddenly I come to a meeting and I see a new guy there. And it's especially bad if it's some chief financial officer or chief architect or, God forbid, a CEO himself. And suddenly I remember that I'm actually 20-something, that I'm a recent graduate, and I can't even grow a real beard. And I have to sell myself to that guy again. And of course it's easier than it was the first time. I mean, for that newcomer, at least they know people who know me and want to work with me, so it's that much easier. But it's just a reminder that you can never rest on your laurels. So you always have to sell yourself to each new person again.
And then the last thing that I would like to remind everyone is that only an idiot does the same thing all over and over again and expects a different result, which means that if you want to do cool stuff, if you want to innovate, if you want to do those projects that will bring you to the future, then you are the one who has to evolve. You have to change your processes. You have to change the way you work. You have to change the way you communicate within your organization and outside your organization. And this is something that you just simply must do, because otherwise you will be left behind, because all these young and cool hip guys who can't grow a real beard yet, but they will one day, they will just come and take your place, and this is just something that's going to happen. But the big can be new lean in the sense if they understand that this is a cooperation that actually both can benefit from. But it has to be in your organization's DNA that you have to be able to evolve. You have to understand what's going on, and these guys actually can help. They can show you the direction if you let them.
Now, my third issue is maybe procedures. I actually have a love-hate relationship with procedures. I hate them when someone imposes them on me, but I really like them when they help me understand what's really going on or help me through something that I don't really know anything about. So every company needs procedures, even small ones. If you don't have them, if you don't have any, then you're going to end up in chaos, and everything's going to be terrible. Speaking from experience. But big companies take it to a completely next level. I have snail-mailed small novels to foreign countries just because they need some contracts signed in ink and in 5 copies and from every founder. It's infuriating sometimes. And it can get even worse when you have to deal with, for example, payment deadlines. Say there's a procedure that goes about the payment, and with large corporations, it's 90 days. When you're a small company, these 90 days may mean life and death to you. So you need to be prepared for this. You also need to be prepared for the fact that the sales cycle is going to be 12 months, not because there are a bunch of lazy people, but just because the procedure takes so long. You know, it's happened to me more than once that you go to someone, you see something stupid happening, and you go to someone, and you ask them, why is this process taking so long? Like, can I do something to help you? And you get a shy, slightly ashamed smile, and the person says, no, I know it's stupid, but there's nothing I can do. There are just these steps that this process has to follow. And they are embarrassed about themselves, and there's nothing they can do about it. So as a startup, don't go barging in and hoping that you can change this thing, that you can, like, for you, they're going to change the rules. Things are going to move slow. And all you can do about this is just try not to die before the money comes in.
So this is it from us. If you have any questions.